Alright guys, what's going on today? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going over the new Boruto chapter 58. This chapter has an amazing cover page. It has a two-piece page and it's beautiful. And I just want to take a moment to talk about, that cover page. I'm going to be going in depth a bit on this chapter, so yeah, let's get down to it. So, in this cover page, you see Boruto and his friends on the right side, and you see Kawaki, Amato, Code, all of them on the left side. I think there's a little reference or a little hidden meaning behind that. But the thing that gets me is, why is Naruto and Shikamaru on the left side and Sasuke's in the middle? So does that mean something goes on here where I think one of the two sides goes against Boruto? I think the left side may be the one that wants to help Boruto, and the right side may end up betraying him, since the kids are on the right side, but they might not believe Boruto in the future and they might betray him. Or the right side helps him and the left side betrays him, where Naruto might betray him due to Eida or something like that. Even Shikamaru and Kawaki, we're not 100% sure, but I feel like there's something there. And Sasuke's in the middle because he's in between good and bad. And the thing that gets me is, if you look at Amato's lurking in the back chilling. So I know there's something with this guy, but I know there's a bigger meaning behind this picture. Anyways, the manga starts off with Boruto and Naruto in the household, and Boruto talks to Naruto. He's like, oh, these are the pills? Like, these will stop my Otsutsuki-fication? And Naruto's like, yeah. But he's like, I don't know the side effects of this medication. So he's like, if you take it, he's like, you could maybe die. And Boruto's there looking like, And Naruto's like, I'm not going to force you or anything. And then Boruto ends up taking the pill. And you see a little gag moment with Naruto. And Naruto's like, what? Like, he just all surprised and everything. It's a funny moment though. But at the same time, it's sad. But you can see Boruto takes it. He tells Naruto that, he's like, I already have my resolve. He's like, others take their time to find it. But he's like, I already prepared for the worst case scenario. And he's like, we're in the worst case scenario, so I'm going to do what I have to do. And Naruto's like, are you okay? Like, you feeling side effects? He's like, no. He's like, I'm fine right now. And then Naruto's like, yeah, geez, this kid. But yeah, I just want to talk about this part a bit. So does this mean Boruto will die? No, I don't think he's gonna die, because first of all, he's the main character, alright? I do believe the pills will awaken his Jougan, as we never seen it after chapter 1 and not recently in the anime either. But we do see a small glimpse of something with Boruto's eyes in this chapter. I will show that after. I don't believe these pills will stop Momoshiki from coming out. I do believe they'll stop Boruto's DNA and body from being altered, but I don't think they'll stop Momoshiki from coming out. And another thing about these pills is that these pills apparently will make you blind too. It is one of the side effects, possibly. So that means that if Boruto takes these pills and the Byakugan that Momoshiki possesses goes blind, that means if Momoshiki transforms, he won't be able to see. Or another way to interpret this is that those pills block the Byakugan, that means Momoshiki won't be able to come out at all. It goes both ways, to be honest. But anyways, the next scene continues off with Boruto, Sarada, Mitsuki, and Kawaki, and they're doing training. They're doing a chakra control training. And you see Naruto and Konohamaru are watching them in the back. Kawaki snaps at Boruto saying, what, you're taking pills? Like, why? He's like, I thought we were going to defeat Code together. He's like, what are you doing? And Boruto's like, no, that's just a hypothesis. He's like, how do you know even if Code could take the karma? He's like, well, there's one way to find out, and they're kind of arguing. And you see Sarada get upset, and she's like, stop arguing, you two. And then they keep arguing. Now, the thing about this scene I find a bit weird is Mitsuki. Mitsuki looks there with 3 dots, and he's not kind of surprised by Boruto taking pills. The other thing that gets me is Sarada. Sarada doesn't seem to be giving 2 shits or care anything about what Boruto is doing or happening. Like, I remember back 2 chapters ago, she was worried that Boruto was depressed. You could see by her face. But in this chapter, Boruto tells his friends that he's like, yo, I'm taking pills, to stop myself from transforming. But he's like, I could possibly die. As he said, he's like, I know the risks. But I don't think he told him the risks. But anyways, she doesn't seem concerned or anything, which kind of gets me. Like, all throughout the beginning parts of the manga, she was kind of concerned about him. And even in the anime we've seen, and all of a sudden she doesn't care. My boy's popping pills and she don't care. That doesn't make any sense to me. And the other thing is, our boy Konohamaru is finally back. This man finally came back after 30 plus chapters. That's 3 years almost this man's been out of the picture. That's crazy. The manga, Boruto and Kawaki are going back and forth on each other, and Sarada yells at them saying that's enough, and Kawaki tells her to shut up. Sarada gets angry back at him saying this is an important drill, like, alright, stop messing around. And you can see Kawaki's like, is a bit upset. Sarada tells him that you're just a newbie, stop being all bossy and everything. And then Kawaki says that, what good will this drill do? And Boruto snaps at Kawaki saying, you're the one who wanted to learn ninjutsu. He's like, are you throwing down shinobi training? And Boruto, then he snaps he keeps going on at Kawaki. This is a reference back to chapter 30s when after the Delta fight, Kawaki asked him to train him, and it's shown in the anime, which we're about to see, which is going to be episode 200, where Kawaki starts learning ninjutsu. Anyways, Kawaki then suggests this is insufficient and that, you know, we should start doing something else. And Mitsuki's like, what should we start doing? Kawaki's like, you know, actual physical training. So then him and Kawaki start fighting each other, and you see Boruto and Sarada are kind of like, whoa, what's going on here? Kawaki and Mitsuki start fighting each other, and then Sarada says this is this extreme logic and that Kawaki's dumb. Kawaki says, stop whining and come attack me. And then he attacks Sarada, and then she's pissed. And she's like, alright, you're gonna regret this. She then uses a fireball on Kawaki. Now everyone is going all out, and you can see Boruto's the only one remaining calm now. Before it was Mitsuki, but now it's all the other three, which is it's kind of funny. Anyways, Boruto yells at Sarada. He's like, what are you doing? Kawaki then blocks her fireball, and Sarada uses shurikens at Kawaki, and Kawaki gets hit. Boruto, Sarada, and Mitsuki are all surprised that Kawaki got hit by shurikens, and he's like, he should have been able to dodge them. And see, at this moment, all three of them let their guard down. Kawaki then poofs, because that was a shadow clone, and he goes right behind Sarada with this scythe-looking arm thing, and he catches Sarada off guard. She turns around to her surprise, and then you see Kawaki get close to Sarada's face as soon as the scythe's about to come in, and last second Boruto comes up and blocks the attack. This moment, it's hard to say, but you could see Kawaki was kind of serious about hurting Sarada there. Kawaki was actually serious about hurting Sarada, and the funny thing is that Boruto came through with his promise that he will always protect her, which he just did, because she is the captain of the team, which, you know, will be future Hokage, and he's like, I'll be your right-hand man and protect you, which he did protect her. He did know Kawaki was, you know, reaching too far, and so he protected her last second. Now, I just want to talk about this scene. As you can see, Sarada, Mitsuki, Kawaki were all attacking. You notice that Boruto's the only one not attacking. This goes to show that Boruto doesn't want to waste his chakra since he doesn't want to transform and hurt anyone, but he only jumps in to save Sarada when Kawaki went crazy. This also shows that Naruto and Konohamaru are purposely watching Boruto just in case he transforms. Because we don't know if he used chakra here and he transforms, then they have to be able to put him down. Anyways, the next scene is Boruto blocking Kawaki's attack. And then Boruto asks, what are you thinking? Kawaki says, chill out, you know, no one's gonna die. And Boruto says, you're being way too serious. Now, I think this foreshadows something in the future that Kawaki may kill Sarada. We don't know, but I feel like he may end up hurting her or killing her in the future. The way he was attacking her, and then he mentions that no one's gonna die, and then he ends the village back in chapter 1, which, you know, it makes me question it. But I do believe something will happen to Sarada in the future, and Boruto won't be able to keep his promise to protect her, as he, you know, says he'll always protect her. But I think this scene foreshadows it, that something might happen and he won't be there for her. Boruto then calls out Kawaki saying, why are you so flustered? And Kawaki says, you know, he's not flustered. Flustered meaning confused or agitated. Sarada tells Boruto that there's no use in talking to him and that you need to show him by force. This goes to show that Kawaki is not working like a teammate, and she's telling Boruto to put him in his place. Boruto then says Sarada, and she's confused or surprised. And then he tells her, okay, but don't butt in. Now this scene shows that Boruto's taking Sarada's command as she's the team captain. And when he says don't butt in, she's all surprised. When she says you need to show him by force, he says alright. And you can see that's what the whole point of the captain or Hokage is, to, you know, to guide others. She says this, and Boruto's like, alright, I'll do it for you. But at the same time, Boruto is protecting her, so obviously he's gonna go, you know, against Kawaki. But yeah, you can see Boruto doesn't want to be captain anymore, but he rather follows Sarada. So Boruto's a bit pissed at Kawaki for attacking Sarada like that. Low-key, Kawaki cheesed at Boruto because Samir likes Boruto and Kawaki likes Samir. But yeah, borusara, kawasumi all the way. Anyways, Sarada then says to Boruto, which is, you know, she's surprised. She's like, hold on, you two now? And she's like, what's going on? And Mitsuki says, in short, whoever loses will stick to the winner's way of training. And Boruto says, yup, in regards to both Sarada and Mitsuki, because they're in one panel box. And Kawaki's like, alright, I'm fine with that. And Konohamaru's like, what are these guys doing? And Boruto then says, listen, a promise is a promise. And he says, no arguing if you lose. Notice in this panel box, you see Sarada and Boruto. This goes back to chapter 10 or 11 of the manga, where Boruto promised to be her right-hand man and protector. That is why Boruto says a promise is a promise, since he just protected the future Hokage / team captain. Kawaki in the other box says, fine with me, but you better not forget your own words. This also means that Kawaki's telling Boruto that he better keep his promise that Boruto has promised, you know, many people, including Sarada and Kawaki, how he would told Kawaki, you know, we'll get rid of karmas together. Even Kawaki promises that he'll get rid of Boruto's karma, which is why Kawaki mentions that as well. But yeah, you know, he's reminding him to keep his promises, you know, like I said, he promised to keep Sarada safe and stuff like that. Sarada then goes to mention that she's surrounded by idiots, which I find kind of funny. Now, like I said, I don't know why, but Sarada's attitude in this chapter has changed quite a bit. After chapter 54, her attitude is completely different. I don't know why. Like in the last couple of chapters, she's been up and down. I don't know if maybe it's because of Sasuke or what happened with Ishiki and Boruto and Sasuke's eye or something like that, or Kawaki's the cause of this. I'm not 100% sure, but her attitude's a bit more bitchy lately. I ain't gonna lie. Now, I don't know if that's maybe Kishimoto's writing or Kadachi was writing her before, but if Kishimoto changed her now, I don't like the way she's going. I liked her pre-chapter 44, like even back when they're fighting Boro and stuff. She was a bit more calm and, you know, thinking. You go back to the beginning of the manga, she's completely different. She's more like kind of shy, quiet. In this, she's like, you know, being pissed off all the time, which, you know, we'll see later on in this chapter. Anyways, Boruto and Kawaki get in each other's face, and then Boruto mentions that, you know, they used to fight like this back when they first met. Now, this part here, I don't know how long has passed, but I'm assuming some time has passed now. Even after the Ishiki fight, some time has passed that they're mentioning this. And Kawaki's like, you're the one who caused all those fights. Also, I want to note that in this panel, you see Boruto's right eye is covered and he has a scratch headband on. Is this foreshadowing the loss of his eye and maybe a fight in the future, like in chapter 1? Possibly. Anyways, Boruto and Kawaki start fighting and they throw punches at each other. And Boruto uses shadow clones. Kawaki throws something at Boruto, destroys the shadow clones. Boruto uses a Rasengan, and the Rasengan, you know, it doesn't work. And Kawaki decides to throw a blast at Boruto. Boruto activates his karma seal and absorbs his blast. And he's like, Kawaki's like, yo, that damn karma. Now, the thing I was talking about Boruto's eye, in this part specifically, if you look, Boruto's right eye is different. Look at his left and look at his right, they're completely different. If you look at the panel closely, something's up with his right eye. I think it might be the possible side effects of the medication he was taking. Because his eye looks like the Jougan back in chapter 1. It's kind of like the Jougan. Not is, but it kind of is. Look between both his left and right and you'll see the difference on what I mean. Now going back to chapter 1, when he activates karma, he uses the Jougan. So is it possible that these two are connected? Anytime he uses the karma, the Jougan will come up. Will the Jougan come out when it detects chakra that is evil or bad? As, you know, we've seen back in early episodes. Or is this just a drawing issue? It's hard to say. But yeah, if you look at his eye is a bit different. Anyways, Boruto absorbs Kawaki's attack, and then Boruto does a lightning style on Kawaki. Kawaki thought he could absorb it. He tries using the karma seal and he thought he could absorb it, but he doesn't. Because he played himself, he thought he had the karma. And he gets hit by, you know, Boruto's thunderclap. You know, my boy got clapped, that's okay. And then at that moment, Kawaki got hit and he went flying. He thought to himself, everything he was saying, he's like, am I that dependent on the karma seal? This goes back to the beginning of the chapter when Kawaki was downplaying his teammates, which are Boruto, Sarada, and Mitsuki, saying the training you guys are doing is bullshit and that you can only learn through force. Now, my boy here is reliant on the karma seal, and the karma he didn't have the karma to protect him. So he questions to himself like, maybe, you know, they were right after all, and that I gotta learn, you know, I gotta learn something instead of just physically attacking, because now he doesn't have the karma to absorb people's attack. But yeah, now he's without the karma and he's weaker, so now he has to do proper training. And then Boruto comes up and says, I win this time. So does this foreshadow a future where Boruto loses to Kawaki, or back in chapter 1 when they fight again? Because they did have multiple fights since the beginning, so I feel like there might be a loss in the future. Sarada then says game over, and then she's like, I hope they'll stop both being rash now. Kawaki, growling in the ground, looks over at Naruto and he's like, I'm pathetic. He's like, how am I supposed to protect Lord 7th if I'm in such a sorry state? Boruto then says to Kawaki, there's one thing that's changed since the first time both of them met. He's like, now I can tell what you're thinking more or less. He's like, you carry it all yourself, you're trying to do everything yourself, but he's like, stop that, rely on us. You know, we're your friends now, you're part of the team. This scene goes to show how much it has changed since Kawaki first came. Basically, Boruto and Kawaki have changed places when Boruto didn't rely on his team at first, but then started to. As for Kawaki, they try relying on him, but he wouldn't. But now he made change for the good. Also, this shows that Boruto is stronger than Kawaki as to when they first met. Going back to the manga, Boruto then tells Kawaki, he's like, I know you may be feeling responsible for Kara's attack on the village and attacking dad and everything, but he's like, it's not your fault. Alright, he's like, none of this is your fault, so stop thinking that way. He's like, they're bad guys, and he's like, we're gonna stop them. He's like, we can't let bad guys run around. He's like, that's what shinobi do, we're shinobi. He's like, you feel like that too, don't you? And you see Kawaki's kind of, you know, lying there like, you know, he's kind of right. And then Naruto mentions that Boruto sounds all grown up, and then Konohamaru looks at him, and he's like, he sounds like you when you were younger. Which I believe Boruto inherited the talk no jutsu. This scene goes to show Boruto's maturity and how he has gotten better. But you can slowly see Boruto's smile is disappearing and that he's thinking much darker now. Like pre-chapter 40s, where he was so rash and he was always smiling. He thought everything was carefree. After he got his ass whooped, kind of, he started thinking a bit more different. Even in the anime, after they fought Deepa, they got their ass whooped, they knew they had to step it up a bit. But in the manga, it seems that Boruto pre-chapter 40s wasn't that hectic. After chapter 40s, when he learned of his dark fate, he starts going, you know, a bit more mature. But now he's thinking on a different level. Even during this whole time when they were fighting, he was so much more calm. If this was the Boruto back in chapter 1 to 20, you would see he'd be going all over the place, like he'd be yelling everywhere. But he changed quite a bit in this. And then Sarada is surprised that Kawaki just admitted he lost. And I'm not sure if it's Sarada or Mitsuki that says it, but one of them says, "What a bad attitude." I think it's Mitsuki because you see the arrow pointing at his mouth. Kawaki then says, "I'll stick with you guys a little bit longer." And he's like, "I'll do things your way, Boruto." And Boruto says, "You fool." He's like, "We're the ones putting up with you." And then you can see Naruto smile. And then Naruto says, "Go for it, all of you." And he's like, "May you get much, much stronger." And then Boruto says, "All right, let's start training now." And you see Kawaki looking at his hand where karma used to be. And he's like, "I swear I will get stronger." And then that is the end of this chapter. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about there. So first of all, I'm gonna say this chapter is pretty fire. You can see Kishimoto's style of writing is back. He changed it quite a bit, and the drawing of Ikimoto has gotten so much better, especially that 2-page cover page. It was beautiful. Anyways, I want to talk about this scene now. In the last scene, when Kawaki says sticking with them a bit longer, does that mean he betrays the village, or is that foreshadowing that he may leave the village in the future? Also, what Naruto says is kind of, you know, it's kind of weird, where he's like, "May you all get stronger, you know, much, much stronger," and stuff like that. Does that mean that Naruto is passing the torch on to the new Team 7? The way he says it sounds like they hold the key to the future and that Naruto may die or disappear forever based on that statement. Since he isn't as strong as he used to be, but he is still pretty strong. Is this a reference to the time skip? And that Naruto says, "Go for it, and may you all get stronger." So he's telling them to go on a training session and get stronger. I think they're talking about a time skip of Boruto and the squad training, but it's hard to say. Also, Boruto says, "Let's presume training starting now." Starting now meaning that their training starts right now, and the next chapter is the last before the time skip, and chapter 60 is the time skip. This is what I think on that. I do believe the time skip is near. Ikimoto said sometime this year the time skip was going to come. I do feel it's going to be chapter 60, because if Boruto says let's start training and Naruto saying may you all get much stronger, I think he's referencing that, you know, you guys go push yourselves and come back when you're stronger or something like that. Anyways, that's what I think on that scene. Now time for predictions. My first prediction is that Boruto trains in the village. He doesn't leave the village. What I mean by that is he keeps mentioning shinobi in this chapter, and that makes me wonder if he's obsessed with shinobi. But him learning what it means to be a shinobi, you can see where his mindset comes from. So I don't think he's gonna leave the village or go rogue. And that's also the reason why he says in chapter 1, he's like, "I'm still a shinobi." But that's what I think. Second prediction for the next chapters, we're finally gonna see Sasuke, and I think he's gonna train Team 7 or Boruto. Also, we'll see a glimpse of Eida and Code, or maybe, and we may see Caution Koji. That's what I think. After 12 chapters, we haven't seen Caution Koji, so I think they're going to show him. Also, the time skip chapter being 60, 59 will show everybody gather for one last time before they head out, which is why Naruto mentions they go all out and get stronger. Also, I think Code's going to slash Boruto's eye after the time skip. I don't think right now. If next chapter is the last and time skip is 60, I don't think Boruto's eye gets slashed up until after the time skip. That's what I think for that. My third prediction is Boruto goes rogue after the time skip. The reason I say that is because this volume is coming to an end, and Ikimoto said that this year the time skip will be starting. Next volume looks like it might be the time skip. Also, Boruto and them will train, and something will happen after the time skip where Boruto might get kicked out of the village, or he becomes a bigger threat that he has to leave, since he might stay in the village till the pills run out, or a model disappears and they need more pills and Boruto goes out of control, leading to him being kicked or him attacking the village. I also do believe Sarada or Kawaki will give him the scar on his eye when he transforms into Momoshiki, and that will break off his horn so it snaps him out of his sleep. Because anytime Momoshiki comes is when Boruto's knocked out or he's asleep and his chakra is low. Sarada or Kawaki are going to cut his right eye and it's going to break the horn off. But I do think that he will go rogue after the time skip. Something big will happen. We'll find out for that. Anyways, this is what I think. Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, subscribe. This chapter has a lot of goodies in it. A lot of stuff going in it. It's crazy. Anyways, peace out.